Okay, so another interesting move by the Seattle Seahawks as they are the team to sign Cooper Kupp. We were wondering who was it going to be. Ends up being Seattle, division rivals of Cooper Kupp's former team, the Rams. Interestingly enough, and the Seahawks continue to have just an interesting offseason, right? A team that when they traded away Geno Smith, we immediately, or at least I immediately thought, okay, they're blowing it up. That's just the plan. Sure, we'll see how it works. And then they decided not to blow it up. They did trade away DK Metcalf, but then signed Sam Darnold, signed Cooper Kupp, who, I mean, this is almost a win now move, if anything, with Cooper Kupp, who, listen, I mean, I'm just, he's 31 years old, so it's not like he's in the last year of his, NFL playing career or anything, but I don't know how good I would say Cooper Kupp has been since, in these past couple of years. Now, he still ended up with decent numbers, even because, okay, let's back up. 2021, he had one of the best seasons that a football player has had, regardless of position. He had 1,900 yards in that year receiving. He, won the Triple Crown, and it also went on a great run in the playoffs, including winning Super Bowl MVP. Okay, doesn't get much better than that. Since then, it hasn't been the same. He's still had over 700 yards each of the previous 3 seasons. Injuries has been a huge part of why he hasn't been able to get more, and usually when you're an older player, you don't get healthier as your career goes along, because, again, he had 500 snaps in 2022, around 700 each of the past 2 years, so that's not horrible. You'll take that for sure. Keep in mind there is a little bit of playoffs in there as well. Playoffs do count towards that total. I can look at the regular season. Regular season, it drops down to right at 700 for 2023. It's 630 in the regular season last year. So, yeah, I mean, that does drop down a little bit there because he was at least healthy for the playoffs. But, yeah, either way, I mean, that's the criticism of Cooper Kupp, right? Is he hasn't stayed healthy and, quite frankly, is not coming off of his best year. Now, he wasn't bad last year by any means. He was still an effective player last year, but, he's usually being one of we consider him like a really good receiver, and instead he was just good. If PFF grades are not the end-all be-all, but we'll just use those. Out of 98 eligible wide receivers, he was 49th last year. Okay, that's a solid number 2 receiver, and I have to say, he's not getting a huge deal here. Now, I don't know the guarantees, and it's possible he's taking more guaranteed money for less per year, but it's a 3-year, $15 million a year deal, which, again, sounds like a ton, but we have to keep into perspective that every contract sounds big. These guys are making more now than they ever have. Darius Slayton got a similar deal, $12 million a year instead of the $15 million a year, but for 3 years. Josh Palmer got the same thing Darius Slayton got, $12 million a year for 3 years. Again, the guarantees will come out. That hasn't come out yet. That's a factor here, but he's not getting that much more than those guys, and I have to say, I'd rather have him than Josh Palmer and $3 million personally. So I don't know. I don't think it's a horrible deal whatsoever. I'm looking at previous years. Darnell Mooney got $13 million a year. That's turned into a nice contract. But Gabriel Davis, $13 million a year. That one not so much for 3 years. So yeah, I mean, as a whole, the way these contracts tend to work, I think this is a bit of an underpay for Cooper Kupp, even with the fact that he's coming off of not his best season, and the fact that he's coming off of a continuing to get injured, because he's avoided the major injury for the most part, so at least you have that. He has been healthy at the end of the year these past couple years, so you have that as well, so he's not missing the key games. So ultimately, I think I'm a little surprised, again, unless he just doesn't want to go to the Patriots. If I'm the Patriots, why am I not just adding Cooper Kupp, right? Or some other teams as well. Feels like every team could use a wide receiver, and he's still an effective slot receiver, still one of the better slot receivers you'll see, even if he's not what he was. It's fair to say he is not, I don't expect him to win another Offensive Player of the Year. I don't expect him to win another Super Bowl MVP unless something gets very interesting. But it still feels like a nice addition. So I'm not going to hate on the Rams for deciding to move off of him. But for Seattle, again, it seems like a nice addition. The question is, I mean, and I don't think it's a question at this point, they're trying to be competitive. They're trying to win now. They're not making these moves because they're trying to build for the future. It seems like they're making these moves because they still want to be competitive now, and I think their logic is, well, let's sign Sam Darnold and Cooper Kupp off the street. We don't have to pay any draft picks for those guys, and let's trade away the other guys and get draft picks. So it's not just Cooper Kupp and Sam Darnold versus Geno Smith and DK Metcalf. You also throw the picks in, and Kupp is cheaper than Metcalf by about half the contract, so that helps as well. But yeah, I don't know. Very interesting decision here by Seattle, who continues to make interesting decisions. But those are my thoughts. What are yours? Let me know in the comments below. Always love hearing from y'all. And of course, as always, thanks for watching.